I think there's two trends that I just love to put out. The first one I would say is an individual one that has effect, I think, on both us as individuals, but also on the emerging generation, the people that are coming into our purview, and the second would be more cosmic. The first one actually, and his brother's in the room actually, Justin Dillon, who has this organization, really remarkable organization, Slavery Footprint, was actually here giving a speech a couple of years ago, and he made this statement that I'll never forget as long as I live. He said, my friends, and he's looking at this room of people like you all, he said, he's like, this next generation of young people, they're dreaming about creating businesses and non-for-profits and organizations that will change the world in a way that's distinct from almost any other generation we've seen. They have this social bent to them. They have this deep social concern it's actually rare, it's new in some ways. So one of the biggest trends I think I'm seeing, and the reason why this is so important is because I do a lot of work with consumer-facing corporations, is consumers have changed. They require something different from the world. They require something different from themselves, and therefore they require something different from the world. This is good news for you. It actually leads to the second point. How many of you lead an organization that needs cash? Right? Anybody in the room care about cash, right? Like, it's one of the great sort of obstacles that almost any organization faces. This room probably leans a little bit heavily on the social, non-for-profit side, which is okay. There's some business leaders in the room too. By the way, cash is just as important to them, right? It's really important to all of us. What's fascinating is that as a non-for-profit, you have this perspective. You, as a social innovator, as a social organization, you have this view of the world that the corporation actually desperately needs. And so what we've begun to see happen is these extremely remarkable and effective partnerships happen across all sorts of sectors. One of the ways that this has happened, and I'll just use one example of one, is we've used causes or an issue as the convener. In fact, we've done this, Joshua and I are working on something now around the issue of fatherhood. And so you've got this issue of fatherhood, and then what we've been able to do and what we've seen happen is there are corporations that care actually about dads. Their consumers are dads, and so it's in their best interest to capture the attention of dads. There are large non-for-profits that are doing unbelievable work in the issue of fatherhood. In fact, we were in a room, just this room actually, a couple of weeks ago, meeting with these champions who are doing all sorts of great work, right? They're servicing dads in areas of the city, to be candid, that can't afford the product that some of the corporations are offering. And then you've got these convening intermediaries, people like the White House actually, organizations like the Office of Social Innovation and faith-based and neighborhood partnerships, right? Like, and so what I'm seeing happen, and I think this is a massive trend, I think we'll see more and more of this, are actual organizations that are linking up. I'm seeing non-for-profits and social organizations talk about revenue streams. Praise God. It's a really good thing, right? They're actually saying, wait, how can we build revenue streams? How can we learn from corporations and change the way we face the market and learn from the corporation? And how can what we offer the world actually affect the way a corporation faces their consumer, right? And then how can that corporation face their consumer in a way that's more legitimate, more complete, more shalom-like, more responsible, right? And then how can these intermediaries that convene these people actually tell the stories of these things? And we're actually seeing this happen all over the place. It's a really remarkable trend.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Dear Charles.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I think organizations have to start thinking that, you know, we really do have something to offer corporations. One is human capital, and the word of mouth is incredibly powerful. I was sitting with a VP of Bank of America's philanthropy in the Western region, and he was saying, you know, sometimes they deliver $300,000 checks to the Boys and Girls Club, but nobody would know about it. And imagine as an organization to actually tell the story better of some of the partnerships, and when appropriate, platforming some of the great projects that may not be directly related to yours, but still builds towards your mission. The part I like to add is in the area of technology. I think some of the trends that are happening right now in organizations that are very keen to this is they recognize that technology shouldn't just be leveraged for getting word out about your work. It really needs to be open enough for a couple of reasons, a couple of benefits. One is definitely the ability for you to be transparent, and I think transparency is a great pathway to trust. One example of it would be an organization in Seattle called The Child's Right. And that organization has developed technology. It brings clean water to urban centers around the world. So, you know, in some centers you may have a McDonald's with running water, but a school right next door may have nothing. So they actually go in and create everything from different water systems, and they've attached technology to it in such a way that whenever there's when their project is not going well, it sends an alert. There's a malfunction in the system. It sends an alert both to them and to the donors at the same time. And not only do they report numbers of how many projects they've started, they report numbers on how many projects they've closed, how many projects have failed, and what they found is it actually builds more trust in the life of the organization. So they're leveraging technology to do that better. The other part is technology also allows you to become far more accessible. And technology is not just living online. I think the right use of technology requires offline convening, offline gatherings that continues to build relationship. Because I think Seth Godin said it this way, it's not that difficult to get your word out. So the solution isn't to get your word out more, but he says it's incredibly difficult to get people to care about what you're doing. Because there's so much white noise. I mean, how many Facebook fans do you have, and how many actually give? In fact, probably a lot of us are liking organizations out of courtesy to the one who just invited us to the page. And so really recognizing that and realizing tribe building actually takes one remarkable experience at a time. And what I mean by remarkable is when you do something that causes someone to make a remark about what you do, you are then remarkable, worth making a remark about. So focusing on doing those things of excellence better that tells your story. So, you know, how many of you actually read newsletter updates via email? Maybe 2 of you. Thank you so much. But we send them as if everybody else reads them. And understanding that you're not building a tribe, you're just blasting in a way that marketing once worked, but is not as effective nowadays. And it's leveraging technology and all the tools we have right now to do this better.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Charles. Let's open it up.